Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Wherever you are in the world, I hope you are ready to hear something that will shake you up, wake you up, and push you to become the person you were meant to be. Today, I want to talk about one of the deadliest enemies of success. It is not your competition. It is not your lack of money. It is not even your circumstances. It is laziness. Yes, that small, sneaky, invisible force that whispers in your ear, sleep a little longer, scroll a little more, start tomorrow, and just like that, your dreams die before they are even born. Laziness is like that one friend who always convinces you to stay out late when you know you have an important meeting the next morning. It seems fun in the moment, but later you regret every second of it. Laziness is not just a habit. It is a full-time job that pays you in regret, missed opportunities, and unrealized potential. It starts small, one snooze button, one skip task, one I'll do it later. And before you know it, you are sitting on a throne of excuses, wondering why your life isn't changing. Meanwhile, successful people are out there doing the work, making the sacrifices, and securing the rewards. Think about it. When was the last time you saw someone scrolling through social media for 8 hours straight and suddenly becoming a millionaire? Never. But people who wake up early, take action, and stay disciplined, those are the ones who achieve greatness. Today we are going to kill laziness. We are going to chase it out of our lives like an unwanted guest at a party. Because if you don't get rid of laziness, it will get rid of your future. Let's go! People often ask me, Jack Ma, what is the secret of success? And I tell them, it's not really a secret. It's just about doing what lazy people refuse to do. Lazy people are like professional excuse makers. I don't have time. Oh, really? But you have time to binge watch 5 seasons of your favorite show, complete with snack breaks and deep emotional investment in fictional characters. I don't have money. But somehow you have enough to buy overpriced coffee, the latest phone, and every new pair of sneakers that comes out. I don't know how to start, but you spend hours watching YouTube videos of others succeeding. Laziness is a scam artist. It convinces you that you are working on something when, in reality, you are just sitting there, doing nothing except maybe perfecting your couch potato skills. Success is not magic. It's not like you rub a lamp and a genie pops out saying, "Congratulations, here's your dream life." No. Success is the result of consistent effort every single day. It means waking up and choosing action over comfort, progress over procrastination. If laziness was an Olympic sport, some of you would be gold medalists. But let me tell you, no one ever got rich, healthy, or successful by mastering the art of lying in bed and scrolling on their phone. The people who win in life are the ones who stop making excuses, start making plans, and actually do something. So next time you hear yourself saying, "I don't have time," just remember, you do have time. You're just spending it on things that don't matter. And that, my friend, is the real secret to success. Let me tell you a story. When I started Alibaba, I had no money, no connections, and no technology background. I was just a simple teacher. I went to Silicon Valley looking for investors, and 30 different people rejected me. They laughed at me. They told me, "Jack, your idea is stupid," but I refused to be lazy and discouraged. Instead, I worked harder. I improved. I knocked on more doors. And today, Alibaba is one of the largest e-commerce companies in the world. Now, imagine if I had been lazy. Imagine if I had said, maybe they are right, maybe I should give up. You would not even know my name today, and the same goes for you. If you keep making excuses, nobody will know your name either. Excuses are expensive because they cost you your future. If you keep making excuses today, your future self will look back and say, "Why didn't you just start?" So stop buying excuses. They are the worst investment you can make. Laziness is like an addiction. The more you give in, the harder it is to stop. The only cure is discipline. If you want to kill your laziness, you must replace it with habits that make you unstoppable. Here's how you do it. Wake up early. Lazy people sleep too much. Successful people wake up before the world does. If you wake up at noon, congratulations. You've already lost half the day to your pillow. Set small goals. Do not try to climb the whole mountain in one day. Start by taking small daily steps. Even superheroes started by lifting small weights before saving the world. Eliminate distractions. Social media, TV, games, turn them off. These things waste your time and energy. If scrolling on TikTok was a sport, some of you would be Olympic champions by now. Surround yourself with hardworking people. If you spend time with lazy people, you will become lazy. If you spend time with driven people, you will be inspired to work harder. Birds of a feather flock together. Don't be a pigeon in a group of eagles. Just start. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. There is no perfect moment. The best time to start is now. If you wait until you feel ready, you'll be waiting forever, probably with a snack in your hand. You know, laziness is funny because it always has the same excuses. I will start on Monday, but Monday never comes. I will exercise tomorrow, but tomorrow, the only running you do is to the fridge. People say, Jack, I don't have time to read. But if I check your phone, I will see that you spent 5 hours watching TikTok videos of people dancing. You have time, but you waste it. And time is the one thing you can never get back. Let me tell you another funny thing about laziness. Have you ever noticed that lazy people are always tired? They do nothing all day, but they say, I am so exhausted. Exhausted from what? From thinking about working? From scrolling on your phone? If laziness were a job, some people would be billionaires by now. Laziness steals your dreams. It is a silent thief that sneaks into your life, robbing you of opportunities before you even realize it. You say you want to be rich, but are you working like a rich person? Do you study, invest, and put in the hours like those who have achieved financial success? You say you want success, but are you willing to sacrifice, stay disciplined, and do what successful people do every single day? If not, then you are just dreaming, not striving. Let me tell you something powerful. The best time to start was yesterday. The second best time is now. The longer you wait, the further away your dreams get. The harder you work today, the easier your life will be tomorrow. Every hour of effort today compounds into future rewards. Nobody can make your dreams come true except you. Stop waiting for a miracle or for someone to come and push you. Success is in your hands. Laziness is the #1 cause of wasted potential. How many people with talent, ideas, and dreams have let laziness keep them stuck in the same place? How many have sat back while others passed them by simply because they refused to take action? Don't let that be you. So stop waiting, stop complaining, stop being lazy. Every second wasted is a second you could have used to get closer to your goals. Wake up, get up, and go fight for your future. The world is full of opportunities, but only for those who are willing to work for them. Success is not reserved for special people. It is reserved for those who are willing to work for it. Hard work does not choose favorites. It only rewards those who embrace it with determination, patience, and effort. Your laziness is your biggest enemy. It is a silent dream killer, creeping in unnoticed and stealing away your potential. If you do not kill it, it will kill your dreams, your ambitions, and the life you could have had. So are you ready? Are you ready to stop making excuses and start taking action? The world is waiting for you to rise, to step forward, and to make an impact. Your future self is waiting for you, watching, hoping that today, not tomorrow, is the day you take the first real step toward success. Don't let them down. Imagine looking back years from now filled with regret, thinking, if only I had started then, where would I be today? You have the power to shape that future now. The only thing standing in your way is your own hesitation. Fear, procrastination, and laziness are roadblocks of your own making. But they can be torn down the moment you decide to move forward. You don't need a perfect plan, you need action. Go out there and kill your laziness.
Ladies and gentlemen, If you are in your 30s or 40s, you need to hear this today. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. Because these years right now are the years that will shape the rest of your life. When you were in your 20s, you thought you had forever. You could take risks, switch jobs, make mistakes, fall in love, break your heart, change your plans. People would look at you and say, "Don't worry, you're still young, you'll figure it out." And you believed that. But then 30 came. Suddenly, life feels different. The world doesn't give you the same excuses anymore. Your parents start looking at you differently. Your family expects stability. Your career expects results. Your own mind whispers, "Am I running out of time?" And then the 40s arrive, and with them even heavier questions. Did I choose the right path? Have I wasted too much time? Is it too late for me to change? I know those questions. I lived those questions. When I was in my early 30s, I was rejected from jobs over and over again. I watched friends move forward while I stayed behind. Some of them had good careers. Some were buying houses. Some seemed to have it all figured out. And I asked myself, why not me? Why am I not moving as fast? There were nights I felt hopeless. There were days I wanted to quit. But let me tell you something I learned the hard way. Your 30s are not the decade to compare yourself to others. Your 30s are the decade to build. These are the years where you must stop jumping from one thing to another, stop being distracted, and decide, what am I going to commit to? Because if your 20s were for searching, your 30s must be for building. If you stay lost in your 30s, you will wake up at 45 with regret. I'll be honest with you, in your 30s, chasing quick success will destroy you. Everyone wants to get rich overnight. Everyone wants shortcuts, but shortcuts cut your future short. The truth is, you need to build roots before you can build fruits. You need to build skill before you build wealth. You need to build strength before you build speed. People don't like hearing that, but it's the truth. And when you enter your 40s, something shifts again. You don't have the same energy as before. You can't fight every battle anymore. You can't run in 10 directions. This is where people make the biggest mistake. They keep chasing everything like they're still 25. They burn themselves out. They try to please everyone. They say yes to everything, and in the end, they achieve nothing. But the people who win in their 40s are the ones who learn to focus. They choose their battles carefully. They double down on their strengths and cut out the noise. They stop trying to be everywhere and start trying to be excellent at one thing. Because success in your 40s is not about doing more, it's about doing less, but doing it better. I've seen people in their 40s who felt they were finished, that they were too late, and then they focused, and within a few years, they built something extraordinary. And I've seen others waste those same years chasing distractions, and when they hit 50, all they had left was regret. Now let's talk about failure. If you are in your 30s or 40s, I want you to understand one thing. Failure is not your enemy. Failure is your teacher. I failed more times in these decades than I can even count. Projects collapsed. Ideas didn't work. People laughed at me, doubted me, rejected me. But every failure sharpened me. Every failure gave me a lesson that success never could. You don't fail when you fall. You fail when you stop standing up. And that's the difference between those who win and those who lose. Not intelligence, not talent, just the decision to get back up one more time. But let me warn you, the wrong people in your 30s and 40s can ruin you. These are the years where relationships matter more than qualifications. You can be smart, talented, and hardworking, but if you surround yourself with people who drag you down, you will stay down. If you surround yourself with people who gossip, complain, waste time, you'll become one of them. But if you build the right circle, if you keep company with dreamers, fighters, believers, people who push you forward, your life changes. The wrong people can waste 10 years of your life. The right people can change your life in 10 minutes. And then there is the cruelest truth of all, time. If you are in your 30s or 40s, think about this. How quickly did the last 10 years pass? Didn't it feel like yesterday you were just starting your first job, just starting your journey, and now here you are? Those 10 years disappeared, and guess what? The next 10 will pass even faster. Time will not wait for you. The biggest trap in your 30s and 40s is thinking you still have plenty of time. You don't. Yes, you still have time to change. Yes, you still have time to grow, but you don't have time to waste. Every year you waste in doubt, in fear, in distractions, in chasing the wrong things will cost you years of regret later. My friends, your 30s are for building, your 40s are for focusing. These are not the years to play safe, but they are not the years to play foolish either. Take risks, but take smart risks. Don't waste your life only chasing money, chase value. Because value always brings money, but money does not always bring value. And when you look back years from now, you will either say, I'm glad I did it, or I wish I had. And the difference between those two statements will not be decided by tomorrow. It will not be decided by luck. It will be decided by what you do today. So if you are in your 30s or 40s, listen to me carefully. You still have time, but you do not have time to waste. Decide who you want to become. Build your skills. Build your reputation. Build your circle. Build your health. Focus on what truly matters. And never stop believing that the best years of your life are still ahead of you if you make them count. Thank you for listening. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to imagine something. You wake up one morning, open your eyes, and for a few seconds you just stare at the ceiling. The alarm has already gone off, but you don't feel like getting up. Not because you're lazy, but because you don't know why you should get up. You're not excited, you're not inspired, you're just there. Maybe you go to a job you don't love. Maybe you scroll through your phone for an hour before even stepping out of bed. Maybe you see other people online traveling, building businesses, achieving amazing things, and you think to yourself, what am I doing with my life? If that's you right now, I want you to listen carefully, because I know how that feels. I've been there, and I can tell you, feeling lost is not the end. It's not even the worst thing that can happen to you. In fact, it might be the best thing, but only if you understand how to use it. Let me tell you a story. Years ago, I met a young man at a conference. He was 27 and he came up to me after my talk. He said, "Sir, I've tried so many things. I've studied engineering. I've worked in sales. I've tried to start 2 businesses and I failed both times. I'm back living with my parents. I feel like my life is going nowhere." I asked him one question. When you wake up in the morning, what's the first thing you think about? He looked confused. He said, "Honestly, nothing. I just checked my phone." And I said, "That's the problem. You've stopped asking yourself where you want to go." Ladies and gentlemen, many people today are not truly lost. They are just standing still. They are not moving forward, but they are also not turning around. They're frozen. And when you're frozen, the world keeps moving without you. You see, being lost means you're somewhere on the journey. It means you're searching. And searching is good. But when you stop searching, when you accept that you don't know and do nothing to find out, that's when you truly lose yourself. Let me give you an example from history. There was a man named Colonel Sanders. You know him because of Kentucky Fried Chicken. He started his business at the age of 65. Before that, he was a failed salesman, a failed gas station owner, and he even lost his restaurant because the highway moved. At 65, most people would say, "It's over. My life is done." But he didn't. He decided to start again. He went door to door selling his chicken recipe until finally someone said yes. At 65, when most people think life is closing its doors, he opened his biggest one. Now I know what you're thinking. But I'm not 65, I'm 20, 25, 30. I should have it figured out by now. No. Who told you that? The truth is, most people in their 20s and 30s have no idea what they're doing. But the difference between those who find their way and those who stay lost forever is this. The ones who find their way keep moving. Let me tell you something I've learned. Life does not reward those who wait for perfect clarity. If you are waiting for the day when everything makes sense, you will wait forever. You have to start walking in the fog. You have to take steps when you can't see the full path. Because here's the secret, the path only appears when you walk it. Think about a GPS. It doesn't show you the whole route at once. It shows you the next turn, and only after you take that turn does it show you the one after. Life works exactly like that. Now, some of you might say, but I've tried, and I keep failing. Good. Fail faster. Fail smarter. The most dangerous thing is not failing. It's succeeding at the wrong thing. If you succeed at something you don't love, you will trap yourself in a golden prison. You will wake up every day with money in the bank and emptiness in your heart. When I was younger, I applied for dozens of jobs and got rejected by almost all of them. Even KFC rejected me. 10 people applied, 9 were hired. I was the only one rejected. I failed my university entrance exam twice. I could have told myself, maybe I'm just not good enough. But instead I thought, if I can't get in through the door, I'll build my own door. So here's what I want you to remember. Feeling lost is a sign you are ready for change. The question is, will you take the first step? And that first step doesn't have to be huge. You don't need to quit your job tomorrow. You don't need to suddenly know your life purpose. Start small. Learn a skill. Read one book. Meet one new person who inspires you. Travel to a place you've never been, even if it's just one city away. Each small step builds momentum. Let me tell you a secret most people don't realize. Confidence doesn't come before action. Confidence comes from action. You act first, then confidence follows. You cannot sit on your couch, think about your dream life, and suddenly feel ready. You have to start moving when you still feel unprepared. There's a famous saying, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. Ladies and gentlemen, I know some of you here are thinking, but what if I choose the wrong path? Let me make it simple. If you keep walking, you will never stay on the wrong path for too long. Every step you take teaches you something. You either find the right road or you learn which road is wrong. Both are progress. Do you know what's worse than being lost? Being stuck in the wrong place because you were too afraid to explore. The world today is full of opportunities. You can learn any skill online for free. You can connect with people from anywhere in the world. You can start a business with just a phone and internet. Our parents and grandparents didn't have that luxury, and yet so many of us waste this gift scrolling endlessly, comparing ourselves to people who are just showing their highlights. Stop comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's movie trailer. You don't know their full story. You only see the best parts, and you have your own story to write. If you feel lost right now, I want you to write this down. I don't need to have all the answers. I just need to take the next step, because one day you'll look back and realize the moments you felt the most lost were the moments that pushed you to grow the most. The pain, the confusion, the uncertainty, they were all shaping you into someone stronger. So don't be afraid of being lost. Be afraid of standing still. And ladies and gentlemen, if you leave this room and forget everything I've said tonight, please remember this one truth. A compass is useless until you start walking. You don't need the whole map, you just need to take the next step. One day, years from now, you will tell your story. And in that story, there will be a chapter called The Time I Was Lost. But you know what? That chapter will not be the ending. It will be the part where the hero you began to rise. So don't be afraid of this moment. Don't wait for the fog to clear. Move through it. Don't ask, what if I fail? Ask, what if I never try? Because the greatest tragedy in life is not being lost. It's staying lost because you were too scared to take a step. My friends, step forward. Your future is waiting for you to find it. Thank you.
I've studied America's weapons. I've examined China's arsenal. I've read the numbers, the firepower, the reach, and every time the story sounded the same. America, overwhelming budgets, unmatched military spending. China, rapid growth, expansion, ambition. But when I turned my attention to India, I found something the world never expected. Not the biggest budgets, not the most expensive toys of war, but something far more dangerous. Brilliance. Weapons not just made of steel, but of vision. Not born in noise, but in silence. Not created to conquer, but to endure. And this is what shocked the world, because superpowers like the United States and China assumed India would always remain behind, too poor, too slow, too complicated. But they didn't see what was coming, a storm that was silent, smart, and unstoppable. Today, I want to take you on a journey into the 10 weapons of India, some military, some technological, and some spiritual, that left even the most powerful nations speechless. Weapons that proved one truth: India may be calm, but never weak. Let's begin with speed. You see, in modern warfare, speed kills. And India built something the world wasn't ready for: BrahMos. The BrahMos is not just another missile. It is the fastest supersonic cruise missile in the world, flying at Mach 3, 3 times the speed of sound. But speed alone is not what makes it terrifying. It's speed with precision. Imagine this: a missile skimming the earth at low altitude, almost invisible to radar. So fast that by the time your systems detect it, it's already too late. Even US defense analysts admitted, if BrahMos is launched, you won't see it coming. And here's what makes it more dangerous. BrahMos can be launched from anywhere, from the land, from the sea, from the air, and soon, from submarines. In war, flexibility is power. BrahMos gave India not just speed, but reach. And the West was not just surprised, they were studying it. Because this wasn't expected from a so-called developing country, but India never cared about expectations. It cared about results. If BrahMos is speed, then Arihant is silence. Most nations that hold nuclear weapons keep them above water, visible, vulnerable, predictable. India did something different. It built INS Arihant, India's first indigenously made nuclear-powered ballistic missile submarine. Think about that for a moment. A submarine that can carry nuclear weapons. A submarine that can remain hidden under the ocean for months. A submarine that ensures no enemy can ever destroy India in a single strike. This is called second strike capability. It means if India is ever attacked first, it can still end the attacker. This is not aggression. This is balance. This is strategy. INS Arihant shocked defense experts around the world because it wasn't announced with fanfare. India didn't boast. India just built. And that silence was louder than any military parade. But India's weapons are not all about destruction. Some are about inspiration. Some are about imagination. Take Chandrayaan. When the world spends billions to reach the moon, India did it with one of the smallest budgets in history. Just $75 million, less than the cost of a Hollywood superhero movie. And yet, India became the first country in history to land on the moon's South Pole. NASA watched, Elon Musk congratulated, and the world realized something profound. India doesn't waste, India executes. This was more than science. It was a declaration. We are here, and we will do it our way. The message to superpowers was clear. You may have bigger budgets, but we have bigger discipline. You may spend more, but we achieve more. Chandrayaan wasn't just a scientific success, it was a psychological shockwave. And then comes fire. The Agni-V intercontinental ballistic missile. With a range of over 5,000 kilometers, it can reach most of Asia, Europe, and even parts of the United States. But here's the twist. India never uses it to threaten. It never parades it as a tool of intimidation. Instead, the message is calm, almost quiet. We do not attack, but we will never be bullied. And that, right there, is what shakes superpowers. Because real power is not loud. Real power is ready. These first 4 weapons, BrahMos, Arihant, Chandrayaan, and Agni-V, are only the beginning. They show you India's philosophy: precision, balance, efficiency, confidence. But what comes next is even more shocking, because India didn't stop at speed, silence, or space. It began building weapons the world had no idea were even possible. Weapons born of innovation, weapons built not in foreign factories, but in India itself. India was always known as a buyer of weapons. Nations sold and India purchased. But then, something changed. India decided it would no longer just depend on others, it would create. And when creation began, the world didn't laugh for long. Take the fighter jet Tejas. At first, many dismissed it as too small, too weak, too slow. But when it finally took to the skies, those same voices went silent. Agile, combat ready, built entirely in India. Pilots call it the pocket rocket. Enemies call it unpredictable. For the first time, India showed the world that it was not just a customer in the defense market, it was a creator. And in war, creation is always stronger than dependence. Because when you can make your own weapons, you are truly free. But India didn't stop there. Missiles can destroy, but what if you could stop a missile before it even reached you? That's where India stunned the experts again. A two-layer air defense system, capable of tracking and intercepting ballistic missiles mid-flight. Imagine the enemy launching a weapon, confident in destruction, only to watch it vanish in the sky, destroyed before impact. Quiet, clean, efficient. Most nations only dream of this technology. India built it. And once again, India didn't shout about it. It simply kept working. Then came something even more unusual. Rudram, India's first indigenous anti-radiation missile. Designed not to hit tanks or bunkers, but to blind. It targets enemy radars, communication systems, and jamming centers. Before the enemy can even fire, their eyes are closed, their ears are gone, their systems are silent, and all of it delivered from the skies with speed and accuracy. One missile and an entire battlefield can be left in darkness. What shocked the world most was not that India built these things. It was how India built them. Not with unlimited budgets, not with endless resources, but with focus, with discipline, with determination. While others wasted money showing their strength on television screens, India invested quietly in laboratories, in research, in young minds who asked one question, not what to buy, but what to build. And soon the world realized something dangerous. A nation that learns to make its own fire no longer fears the dark. Modern wars are no longer fought with just bullets and bombs. They are fought with information, with signals, with silence. And India knew this before many of its rivals did. Inside secret labs, India's scientists worked on something that doesn't explode, doesn't fire, doesn't roar, yet it is one of the most powerful weapons in existence. Electronic warfare. A suite of systems designed to jam enemy radars, confuse their communications, mislead their missiles. Imagine an enemy sending a jet into battle, confident of their targeting systems, only to watch the screens blur, the signals vanish, the guidance collapse. That's what India quietly built. An invisible shield. One that doesn't just protect, but attacks in silence. In the modern battlefield, controlling the signal is often more powerful than controlling the skies. And India had found a way to control both. But while electronic warfare protected from the unseen, India was also preparing for an entirely new battlefield, cyberspace. While most of the world still thought of war as tanks and planes, India understood that the next great war could be fought through codes and clicks. So it began building one of the fastest growing cyber defense infrastructures on Earth, protecting billions of Aadhaar identities, deploying artificial intelligence at its borders, training digital soldiers who could defend the nation not with rifles, but with algorithms. And what shocked global intelligence communities most was this. The people leading this new army were not generals with decades of experience. Many of them were under 30. Young coders, young engineers, young minds who refused to be outsmarted. These were India's invisible warriors, creating firewalls, intercepting intrusions, striking back against cyber attacks with speed the world hadn't seen before. America was watching. China was nervous, and India was moving, silently, relentlessly. But among all these machines, among all these codes and circuits, there exists a weapon no superpower has ever been able to replicate. A weapon not forged in factories, but in spirit. The Indian soldier, a man who stands guard at the highest battlefield in the world, Siachen, where temperatures fall below -40 degrees, and yet he remains unshaken. A woman who serves in deserts, on ships, in command posts, not for wealth, not for conquest, but for duty. A soldier who fights not to expand borders, but to protect them. The world could not understand this. How do you measure sacrifice? How do you calculate courage? How do you prepare for an enemy who does not fear death because he fights not for himself, but for his people? The Indian soldier is not programmed. He is not manufactured. He is not replaceable. And that spirit is India's greatest defense. The West expected India to break under pressure, to bend under threats, to remain silent under intimidation. But every time the line was crossed, India answered with precision. From the surgical strikes across the border to the Balakot airstrikes deep into enemy territory, India proved it could strike fast, clean, and decisive. And after the strike, it didn't boast, It didn't shout. It went back to work. That calm response shook the world more than any show of force ever could. Because true power does not crave attention. True power is silent until it is needed. And when it moves, it leaves no doubt. This was the moment the world realized. India's greatest weapon is not its missiles, its submarines, or its jets. It is its mindset. A mindset of balance, of restraint, of quiet strength. India does not seek dominance. It demands dignity. And dignity defended with discipline is more terrifying than any bomb. The world was beginning to see a new truth. India was not a follower. It was not a customer. It was not a dependent. India was a builder, a creator, a nation that could design, produce, and deploy everything it needed, from missiles to moon landers, from fighter jets to cyber shields. And when a nation learns to build for itself, it no longer bows to anyone. And that is why, for the first time, America began to pay attention. Not because India was loud, but because it was quiet. Not because it copied, but because it created. Not because it threatened, but because it endured. The world measures power in numbers, number of missiles, number of jets, number of ships, but India showed that power is not only in numbers, it is in will. And that will has been tested for thousands of years. When the West first looked at India, they saw weakness. They saw poverty. They saw division. They saw a country too busy with its own struggles to ever rise. And yet quietly, India rose. Piece by piece, weapon by weapon, mission by mission, not in the glare of television cameras, but in the silence of long nights, in the patience of decades, the same patience that built temples out of stone, the same discipline that wrote scriptures in forests, the same spirit that stood unbroken through invasions and empires. That spirit had now returned, not only in culture, but in science, in technology, in defense. Consider India's space program. When the world mocked it as too ambitious, too poor to dream of stars, India placed satellites in orbit at a fraction of the cost others demanded. And then, with Chandrayaan and Mangalyaan, India did what richer nations could not, reaching Mars in its very first attempt, landing on the moon's south pole where no one else dared. And the question on everyone's lips was not how, but how so cheaply, how so effectively, how so fast. That was India's true shock to the world. That genius needs no billions, it needs vision. The same vision flowed into defense. Submarines that move silently beneath the oceans. Aircraft carriers designed to project power on distant waters. Drones that watch silently from the skies. Hypersonic missiles in development, promising speeds the world can barely imagine. And behind all of it, the same determination. We will build, we will endure, we will rise. But above machines, above inventions, above technology, there is something more dangerous that India revealed. A philosophy. While the world prepares weapons to conquer, India prepares weapons to protect. While the world seeks to dominate, India seeks balance. And that philosophy terrifies superpowers because it means India does not fight for greed. It fights for survival. And survival makes any nation unstoppable. That is why India's rise is not just a story of missiles and machines. It is a story of dignity. It is a story of a people who refused to stay broken. A story of a civilization that turned wounds into wisdom, and wisdom into weapons. Weapons not always of steel, but of spirit. Not always of fire, but of patience. And when the world finally saw this, it was not just America that was shocked. It was everyone. Shocked by how India moved from silence to strength. Shocked by how a nation they once called weak now builds weapons others cannot. Shocked by how India redefined power, not as conquest, but as endurance. The message was clear. India will not be bullied. India will not be ignored. India will not bow. And when a nation like that stands tall, the world has no choice but to watch. Because sometimes the most dangerous weapon of all is a nation that refuses to give up. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to like and subscribe, my friends. Ladies and gentlemen, let me start with a small confession. Most people don't fail because they're lazy. They fail because they are too realistic. Yes, too realistic. We live in a world where everyone says be practical, have a backup plan, don't dream too big. But let me ask you something. When was the last time something practical changed the world? Nobody ever said, I had a very reasonable dream and history was made. No. Big things always start with uncomfortable ideas. So today, I want to share 5 steps to achieve any goal, not theory, not textbook motivation. Real life thinking that works when life is messy. Step 1 is choose a goal that makes you look crazy. Let's be honest. If your goal makes people say nice, your goal is too safe. But if your goal makes them laugh first, then say, yeah, okay. That's a good sign. Because every meaningful goal starts as a bad joke. Let me make this very real. You say you want to start a YouTube channel. Your friend says, everyone is doing that. You say you want to start a business. Someone says, now, in this economy, you say you want to change your life. People say, after this year, after that responsibility, after some time, that sometime never comes. Here's the truth nobody tells you. Confidence doesn't come first. Clarity doesn't come first. Support definitely doesn't come first. First comes confusion. Then comes embarrassment. Then, slowly, confidence shows up. Every successful person has screenshots of old work they hope nobody finds. Now let me give you a famous example you probably didn't hear in motivational speeches. Before becoming a global icon, Rihanna was told she wasn't marketable enough. Wrong look, wrong sound, wrong image. Today, she didn't just succeed in music. She built a beauty empire and became one of the wealthiest self-made women in the world. Same person, same talent, different timing. The world didn't believe first, she did. Another example, Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, wanted to build a company focused on graphics processing when most people didn't even know what that meant. Back then, people thought graphics is just for games. Too small, too risky. Today, that small idea is powering artificial intelligence, medicine, cars, and the future. The idea wasn't crazy, it was just early. Now let's come back to you. Your crazy goal doesn't need to be famous. It needs to be honest. Maybe your crazy goal is being the first person in your family to stop struggling the same way. Maybe it's learning something new while your friends are just trying to survive Mondays. Maybe it's creating instead of just consuming. Maybe it's saying, I don't want this version of my life. If your goal doesn't make you slightly uncomfortable to say out loud, you're playing too safe. And listen, this part matters. A goal is not a contract, it's a direction. You don't need to know how it will work, you just need to decide where you're going. The how shows up when you start moving. Here's a quick test. Does this goal excite you? Does it scare you? Would you still try if nobody clapped? Would future you respect this decision? If yes, keep it quiet, protect it, work on it. Because explaining your dream to the wrong people is like trying to charge your phone with the wrong cable. Ladies and gentlemen, step 2 is stop waiting to feel ready. Let me say this clearly. Before your brain tries to negotiate with me, you will never feel ready. If you're waiting for confidence, motivation, money, time, or permission, congratulations, you've chosen the longest route to nowhere. Most people don't fail at their goals. They postpone them to death. They say, after I learn more, after I save more, after things settle down. Let me tell you something uncomfortable. Things never settle down. Life doesn't calm down and give you a green signal. Life pushes you while you're tying your shoes. Let's make this relatable. You want to start something. Your brain says, just one more week of planning. 1 week becomes 1 month. 1 month becomes 1 year. Now you don't even want the goal. You just feel guilty about it. That's not laziness. That's fear wearing a suit called preparation. Here's the funny part. You don't get clarity by thinking. You get clarity by doing something badly. Nobody starts good. They start awkward. The first video is bad. The first attempt is messy. The first version makes you cringe. And that's normal. Let me give you a famous example. Howard Schultz, the man behind Starbucks, didn't start with a global coffee empire. He started by trying to convince people that paying extra for coffee made sense. At the time, people said, why would anyone pay that much for coffee? Today, people pay that price without even thinking. He didn't wait until the idea felt perfect. He tested it while it was still uncomfortable. Another example. Oprah Winfrey was once told she was not fit for television. Too emotional, not the right look, not the right style. Imagine if she said, maybe they're right. I'll wait until I feel ready. There would be no Oprah. Readiness didn't create her success. Movement did. Now let's bring this back to your life. You don't need to change everything today. You just need to start ugly. Send the message. Post the video. Learn the skill. Apply for the thing. Show up before you feel confident. Because confidence is not the entry ticket. It's the receipt you get after action. And here's the mistake most people make. They want to start when they feel fearless. But courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is moving while fear is sitting right next to you, judging you. So here's a simple rule you can use. If you have 60% clarity, that's enough. If you feel 70% ready, that's too much. Start before your brain talks you out of it. Because waiting feels safe. But waiting slowly kills momentum. And momentum is everything. Let me end this part with this. You don't need a perfect plan. You need a starting point. Start messy, start scared, start now. Step 3 is build systems, not motivation. Let's be honest for a second. Motivation is amazing for about 2 days. Day 1, you're unstoppable. New mindset, new playlist, you're fixing your whole life. Day 4, you're tired. Day 6, you're busy. Day 10, you're back to saying, I'll restart from Monday. That's not because you're weak. That's because motivation is emotional, and emotions are unstable. If motivation worked, nobody would have unfinished goals, half-read books, or gym memberships they don't use. Now let me make this very relatable. You don't wake up every day motivated to check your phone. You just do it. You don't debate whether to open Instagram. You don't need inspiration to scroll. Why? Because it's a system. Automatic, effortless, no thinking involved. You don't brush your teeth because you're motivated. You brush them because it's a system. That's the same way progress needs to work. Most people try to change their life using excitement. That never lasts. People who actually change their life use structure. Let me give you a very real example. You want to work on something after a long day, but then you sit down, you check your phone for 5 minutes. Suddenly it's been 45. Now you're tired. Now you're annoyed. Now you say, tomorrow I'll do it properly. Sound familiar? That's not laziness. That's lack of a system. A system removes decision-making. Instead of asking, do I feel like it? The system says, this is what we do at this time. Another example. You want to learn a skill. So you tell yourself, I'll study for 1 hour daily. 1 hour sounds small until it's time to start. So your brain says, let's do it later, when we have more energy. Later never comes. But what if the system was 10 minutes? No excuses. 10 minutes feels harmless. Your brain doesn't fight it, and once you start, you often continue. Systems trick your brain in a good way. Haruki Murakami, a world-famous writer, doesn't wait for inspiration. He writes at the same time every day, even when it feels boring, even when nothing exciting comes out. He trusts the system, not his mood. Another example. Serena Williams didn't train only on days she felt powerful. She trained on tired days, boring days, ordinary days. Champions aren't built on good days. They're built on average days. Now bring this back to your life. If your progress depends on motivation, your future depends on how you feel that day. That's risky. Because some days you feel confident, some days you feel lazy. Some days you feel like quitting everything. A system protects you from yourself. Instead of saying, I'll work when I'm motivated, say, at 8 p.m., I work for 15 minutes. No thinking, no drama, no debate, no waiting for the perfect mood. And here's the funny thing. Once the system is in place, motivation comes back. Because progress feels good. Action creates motivation, not the other way around. So stop asking, how do I stay motivated? Ask, what can I make automatic? Because the people who win are not more inspired than you. They're just more consistent on boring days. You don't need a life-changing routine. You need a repeatable one. Small, simple, boring, and that's exactly why it works. Step 4 is learn to survive the nothing is happening phase. This is the part nobody warns you about. Not the beginning is exciting. Not success looks good on camera. I'm talking about the middle. That quiet, boring, frustrating phase where you're doing the work but nothing is happening. No results, no praise, no proof, just effort. This is where most people quit. Not because they can't do it, but because they think it's not working. You start something new. First few days, you're excited. You tell yourself, this time is different. A few weeks pass. No one notices. No one comments. No one claps. Now the doubts start. Am I wasting my time? Is this even for me? Others are moving faster. And the worst one, maybe I'm just not built for this. That thought has ended more dreams than failure ever did. Here's the truth. Progress is invisible before it becomes obvious. But social media messed this up for us. We only see the highlight, the announcement, the success story. We don't see the months where nothing happened. Let me give you an example. You go to the gym, day 1, pain. Day 10, pain. Day 30, still pain. You look in the mirror and think, am I getting scammed? But your body is changing. Just slowly, quietly. Quit too early and you never see it. Same with any goal. Another relatable one. You start learning a skill. At first you improve fast. Then suddenly plateau. Same mistakes, same level, same frustration. That doesn't mean you're stuck. It means you've entered the growth zone. Now a famous example. J.K. Rowling was rejected multiple times before her book was accepted. Imagine how many days she thought, this is going nowhere. We talk about her success. We forget the silence before it. Another one. Stephen King once threw his manuscript in the trash. Someone else believed in it before the world did. Success didn't arrive because they were sure. It arrived because they didn't quit during the quiet part. Now let's bring it back to you. If you're in a phase where you're working, but not winning yet, you're trying, but not shining yet, you're improving, but not celebrated yet, you're not failing, you're early. The problem is, most people treat silence as rejection. It's not. It's preparation. Here's a rule you need to remember. If you quit during the boring phase, you restart from zero. If you stay, momentum builds quietly. And here's the funny thing. The day results show up, people say, wow, you're so lucky. They didn't see the months of nothing. Don't confuse no applause with no progress. Stay, repeat, trust the process longer than your emotions. Step 5 is raise your standards or you'll slide back. Let me warn you about something nobody talks about. Reaching a goal is not the hardest part. Staying at that level is. Most people don't lose because they can't succeed. They lose because once things get better, they relax. They say, I made it. I deserve a break. I'll slow down a little. That little becomes a lot. Let's make this very relatable. You finally fix one area of your life. You feel proud. You feel comfortable. Then slowly, old habits start knocking. One missed day becomes 2. 2 becomes a week. Now you're telling yourself, it's okay. I already proved I can do it. And that's how progress quietly disappears. Not with drama, with comfort. Another relatable example. You start earning better. At first you're careful. Then lifestyle upgrades begin. Better food, more spending, less discipline. Your income went up, but your standards didn't. So nothing really changed. Here's the truth. Your life always moves toward the standard you tolerate. Not your goals, not your motivation, your standards. Let me give you a famous example. Michael Jordan didn't just raise his performance, he raised his standards. He expected excellence from himself every day. That's why even after winning, he trained like he was behind. That mindset kept him at the top. Another example. Rihanna didn't stop at music success. She raised her standards and built businesses that matched her vision. Success didn't make her lazy, it made her sharper. Now let's bring this back to you. When you start improving, don't lower the bar to feel comfortable. Raise the rules. Instead of saying, I'll work when I feel like it, say, this is who I am now. Identity beats motivation every time. You don't negotiate with who you believe you are. A disciplined person doesn't ask, should I do this today? They just do it. And here's the funny part. High standards don't make life harder. They make decisions easier. No drama, no overthinking, no restarting every few months. You just show up. Let me leave you with this final thought. Goals change your direction. Systems move you forward. Patience keeps you going. But standards decide where you stay. So don't just reach your goal. Become the kind of person who doesn't fall back, because the real win is not success. The real win is not having to start over again. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to like and subscribe, my friends. Ladies and gentlemen, before we start, let me warn you. If you don't delete these 5 things before 2026, your life will not explode. You won't suddenly fail. Nothing dramatic will happen. But something worse will happen. You will stay exactly the same. Same problems, same excuses, same results, and staying the same in a changing world is the most dangerous thing. We are going into a year where AI is exploding. Opportunities are everywhere. New careers are being born every month. And most people are still stuck with the same old habits that expired in 2015. Let me tell you something funny. People upgrade their iPhones every year, but they don't upgrade themselves for 10 years. They will wait 3 hours in line for a new phone, but won't spend 10 minutes to fix their mindset. So today, we are going to upgrade you. Before 2026 arrives, there are 5 things you must delete from your life if you want to grow and not get left behind. And the first one, oh, this one hurts. Ladies and gentlemen, before 2026 arrives, there's one thing you must delete from your life immediately. Your toxic, dramatic, unhealthy, over-emotional relationship with comfort. Yes, comfort. The thing that treats you worse than your worst ex. Comfort promises you everything, gives you nothing, and still expects loyalty. You know how it works. Every night you say, tomorrow I'll wake up at 6 a.m. and start my new life. And every morning at 6 a.m., your bed turns into heaven. You had big dreams last night, and now your bed has kidnapped you. And then there's the gym situation. You buy the shoes, the outfit, the bottle, the headphones, you are ready. You walk into the gym parking lot like, yes, today is my day. But the moment you step out of the car, comfort whispers, you know what? Start on Monday. But every Monday in your life is a public holiday. Monday has never seen you. Your gym subscription knows you only by name. Then there's Netflix. You go for one episode, just one. And 5 hours later, Netflix asks, are you still watching? And you feel judged. Suddenly you know everything about a show you didn't even want to watch in the first place. And don't get me started on your sofa. That sofa is dangerous. You sit down for 5 minutes and boom, 2 hours disappear. You're scrolling and watching people who wake up at 5 a.m., people who built businesses, people who lost weight, people who turned their life around, while you're sitting there eating snacks like, good for them. Comfort is turning you into a spectator, not a player. And then there's TikTok or Reels. My friend, this one is deadly. A study said the average person spends around 95 minutes a day scrolling short videos. 95 minutes. That's not scrolling anymore. That's a part-time job. Imagine if you spent those same 95 minutes learning a skill, building a business, editing videos, reading something useful. By 2026, you'd be unstoppable. But comfort will never allow that. Comfort says, relax, one more reel. And suddenly it's 1 a.m. Your goals are crying, your brain is tired, and comfort is like, good job, king. Cristiano Ronaldo says he never sleeps before finishing his workout. One time his friends invited him to dinner at 11 p.m. He literally said, I can come after training. Tuechu trains at 11 p.m. Someone who broke up with comfort years ago. Here's the truth nobody wants to hear. Comfort feels amazing right now and destroys you quietly later. Discomfort feels terrible right now, but builds you into someone powerful later. Successful people aren't special. They just don't negotiate with comfort. Virat Kohli completely changed his lifestyle. He literally deleted junk food, late night fun, everything, because he wanted to become world class. Comfort wasn't allowed in his dressing room. Before 2026, you're not deleting comfort. You're deleting the version of you that chooses comfort over progress. The version of you that picks entertainment over education. The version of you that uses sleep as a coping mechanism. The version of you that says, I'll do it later, so many times that later becomes never. Your dreams are allergic to comfort. The moment you get too comfortable, your dreams start dying slowly like a phone on 1%. But if you delete this addiction to comfort, even just a little bit each day, something beautiful will happen. You will start becoming the person your future self will thank you for. Before 2026, delete your addiction to comfort, or comfort will delete your potential. Ladies and gentlemen, the second thing you must delete before 2026 is this poisonous habit of waiting for the perfect moment. Because let's be honest, half of us have been waiting for the right time for so long, the right time has probably blocked us and moved on with its life. You know how we are. We say, I'll start when things settle. My friend, things never settle. Tell me honestly, how many times have you said, I'll start when I feel ready? But every time you feel ready, your brain says, actually, not today. It's like your brain is subscribed to Netflix. Auto delay on. Look around your life. Every dream you have right now is stuck behind one sentence. I'll start soon. But soon is the biggest liar in the world. Soon means next year. Soon means after you fix your life, which you haven't fixed in the last 10 years. Soon means never. And here's the funny part. You delay big dreams for the smallest nonsense. I'll start my diet after this wedding. I'll start studying after this drama finishes. I'll start saving after my cousin returns my $500, which he never will. You're basically planning your entire future around other people's weddings and your cousin's debt. The world doesn't wait for perfect moments. Nobody wakes up one day with everything sorted, the sun shining, birds singing, motivation dancing in your room. Life doesn't work like a motivational commercial. You think people who made it had perfect timing? No, they just stopped waiting. Think about the people you see around you who are doing well. Not famous people, just normal people. Your friend who started a small business with a used laptop. Your cousin who built a side hustle on their phone. Your coworker who learned a new skill while juggling a job. These people didn't wait for extra money, extra time, or extra motivation. They started in chaos. They succeeded in chaos. And you know what's even more universal? Every successful person has a cringe beginning. Their first video was awkward. Their first business plan looked like a 5-year-old wrote it. Their first gym session lasted 5 minutes before they fainted. Their first attempt was not perfect. It wasn't even close. But that's exactly why they got better. Because they started. Most people want to jump to level 10 without ever touching level 1. They want the results, not the process. They want the celebration, not the practice. They want the transformation, not the beginning. But beginnings are ugly. Beginnings are messy. Beginnings are uncomfortable. And that's why most people avoid them. You want to start posting content? Start with your shaky voice. You want to get fit? Start with your unfit body. You want to build confidence? Start with your zero confidence. You want to start a business? Start with a cheap phone and free apps. You want to get better at anything? Start before you're ready. Because ready is a myth. Nobody feels ready for the things that matter. Before 2026 arrives, you need to delete the idea that your life will magically arrange itself into a perfect moment. There is no perfect moment. There is only a perfect excuse. Start today. Start imperfect. Start without a plan. Start with fear. Start quietly. Start embarrassed. Start unsure. Start tired. Start messy. But start, because one day you will look back and realize that the only wrong time was every moment you didn't take action. Ladies and gentlemen, the third thing you must delete before 2026 is this sneaky little habit that disguises itself as wisdom. But in reality, it's holding you back faster than a traffic jam in rush hour. And that habit is complaining instead of solving. Yeah, complaining. We all do it. You do it. I do it. Your neighbor does it. The guy selling coffee on the corner does it. Everybody does it. And yet complaining feels like action, doesn't it? It feels like we're doing something. I'm frustrated. I'm stressed. I'm angry. Congratulations. You just wasted 15 minutes of your life and you still have the same problem. And the examples are everywhere. We all know someone like this. The coworker who spends the entire day complaining about the boss, but doesn't apply for another job. The friend who complains about their body, but doesn't move an inch outside the gym or the kitchen. The person who complains about money, but spends 3 hours scrolling shopping apps. You know exactly who I'm talking about. That is comfort disguised as action, fear disguised as voice, and laziness disguised as I have opinions. Even worse, complaining is contagious. Once you start, everyone around you joins in. Suddenly you're in a group chat where everyone's main activity is whining about traffic, inflation, politics, and life. The energy is negative, the motivation is zero, and your goals are slowly evaporating while you're debating who has the worst life story. Here's a funny truth. Social media is basically a giant complaining simulator. We scroll through people complaining about their lives, and we get satisfaction because, hey, at least we're not them, right? But secretly, we're copying the habit. We scroll, we complain internally, we feel justified in doing nothing. By 2026, if we don't delete complaining, we'll be the generation that has excuses for everything and results for nothing. Now, let's look at people who actually delete complaining from their lives. Like your friend who started cooking at home instead of complaining about takeaway prices. Every week they post pictures of their food, and now they're healthier and richer than the people who just complained about food inflation. Or your cousin who hated their job, but instead of crying, started learning a skill on YouTube for 1 hour a day. Fast forward 6 months, they have clients, projects, and confidence, all because they stopped whining and started acting. Even students, The ones who complain about assignments, exams, or teachers, the ones who switch from complaints to action, even just a little, suddenly pass with flying colors. Complaining never solved a problem, but action always does. And the beautiful thing is, action doesn't need to be perfect. Small steps accumulate. Complaints, they evaporate into thin air and leave you right where you started. The point is simple. Before 2026, delete complaining from your life. Notice when you are whining, gossiping, or blaming the world. Stop talking about the problem. Start looking for the solution. Complaining is easy. Solving is hard. But easy doesn't change anything. Hard builds you. Easy makes you smaller. Hard makes your life bigger. Easy keeps you in the crowd. Hard makes you stand out. Before 2026, if you want to grow, if you want to leave average behind, delete complaining. Treat it like deleting a virus from your phone. Delete it, or it will slow your life down until you crash. Ladies and gentlemen, the fourth thing you must delete before 2026 is this invisible trap that feels safe but slowly eats your life like termites in wood. And that trap is overthinking and self-doubt. Yes, overthinking, the little voice in your head that turns every small decision into a full-blown epic saga. It's like having a personal Bollywood director in your brain, adding unnecessary drama to everything. Should I post this video? Should I text them back? Should I start this project? And before you know it, hours have passed. Your brain is tired and your life hasn't moved an inch. Let's be honest. Overthinking is universal. Everyone does it. You, me, your neighbor. That stranger in the elevator probably just imagined 100 ways the floor could collapse. Think about the relatable moments. Like choosing what to eat becomes a life-altering event. You open the fridge, stare at leftovers, think about calories, think about taste, think about your future health, think about the history of the dish, and somehow end up ordering pizza anyway. Congratulations! Your overthinking just wasted 20 minutes of your life and gave your wallet a workout. Even bigger things suffer. People overthink starting a business, moving to a new city, learning a new skill. What if I fail? What if people laugh? What if I waste time? My friend, the only thing that wastes time is overthinking. Not trying, not failing, not starting. Overthinking. And here's the universally funny truth. Social media made overthinking 1,000 times worse. Every day you scroll and see someone posting perfect lives, perfect meals, perfect vacations. And your brain goes, ah yes, I am clearly not doing enough. Let me analyze 50 ways I am failing before breakfast. Congratulations. You just spent an hour doing nothing and feeling miserable. Look at ordinary people who got it right. Your classmate who didn't overthink and just applied for that internship. Got it. Your friend who didn't overthink and started a YouTube channel with a phone and zero editing skills blew up. Your cousin who didn't overthink and asked someone out, now happily dating. None of them had perfect timing, perfect skills, or perfect plans. They just started. Imperfect, messy, scared, confused. But they started. Think about the barista who opened a tiny coffee shop in the neighborhood, even though everyone said it was impossible. No overthinking, just action. Today, they have a line out the door. Or the neighbor who started running 5 minutes a day despite being overweight and now runs marathons. Or the college kid who made a small website as a side project and eventually landed a dream job. None of them waited for perfect conditions. None of them paralyzed themselves with doubt. Here's the truth. Self-doubt is natural. Overthinking is optional. Before 2026, you must delete this habit. Stop talking yourself out of opportunities. Stop imagining 50 ways it can fail. Stop rehearsing your mistakes before they happen. Start messy. Start unsure. Start scared. Start imperfect. Because the perfect you who never overthinks, he doesn't exist. The perfect moment also doesn't exist. Delete overthinking. Delete self-doubt. Make small decisions fast. Take imperfect actions and learn along the way. Ladies and gentlemen, the fifth and final thing you must delete before 2026 is this invisible weight that's quietly holding you back even when you think everything else is under control. And this one is tricky because it wears the mask of responsibility or realism or being practical. But in reality, it's people-pleasing and seeking approval. Yes, the habit of worrying about what others think before doing anything meaningful. And let me tell you, nothing will kill your momentum faster than letting everyone else decide your life for you. We all do it. You know the feeling. You have a great idea, a small dream, or even a funny TikTok you want to post. But then you pause. What will people say? Will they judge me? What if my friends laugh? And suddenly the post isn't posted, the idea isn't launched, the moment isn't seized. Congratulations, you just turned potential into regret. And all for an audience that honestly isn't even paying attention. Look around. This habit is everywhere. Your friend who never shares their talent because people might laugh. Your cousin who doesn't start a business because family might criticize. Your neighbor who doesn't wear what they want because someone might gossip. And here's the kicker. Those people gossiping, half the time they're too busy worrying about themselves to even notice you. Even small things in life show how ridiculous this can get. You choose shoes based on compliments instead of comfort. You post pictures carefully cropped instead of authentic. You mute your opinions in meetings because someone might think you're too ambitious. Your life becomes a careful, filtered version of what others want instead of the wild, messy, exciting thing it could be. Here's the relatable, universal truth. People who succeed, whether in life, business, or just happiness, stop giving a flying thought to approval. Your favorite Instagram influencer didn't become famous because they asked for permission. That barista opening a tiny cafe didn't run a focus group for approval. The kid starting a podcast in their bedroom didn't get everyone's okay, they just started. Delete this habit before 2026. Stop waiting for validation. Stop curating your life to fit other people's opinions. Stop letting approval decide your actions. It's exhausting, it's unnecessary, and it is literally stealing years from you. You don't need everyone to like you. You don't need everyone to understand, and you definitely don't need their permission to live the life you're meant to live. Imagine a life where you stop caring about the gossip, the side eye, the silent judgments. Imagine making bold choices, trying things, failing, laughing, and learning without ever asking for permission. That's the life you can have. A life where 2026 becomes a launch pad instead of another year of hesitation. So before 2026, delete comfort, delete waiting for the perfect moment, delete complaining, delete overthinking, and delete the obsession with other people's approval. That's 5 things. 5 invisible chains you're cutting from your life. Do this, and you won't just survive 2026, you'll transform it. You'll wake up every morning excited instead of anxious. You'll take action instead of waiting. You'll speak, create, build, and laugh freely. And the best part, you won't just be better. You'll be unstoppable. 2026 is coming. Delete these 5 things, and the world won't know what hit it. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to like and subscribe, my friends.